Our fourth instalment with Terry Lawton on the crystal clear River Wensum looks at his fly fishing vest and the overlooked gadgets that make fishing so much easier. We are standing on one of the river's prime spawning sites. Terry, I see you've got the obligatory fisherman's vest on, and I love studying different people's vests because they're always tales of mystery and imagination, aren't they? And they're always unique to people.
I think it probably tells you a lot about the owner's character as well.
and the smell. Just take us briefly through all the gizmos and gadgets and that you've got hanging from you.
Well, one essential is a leader clipper on a pin-on reel or a zinger, so you can use it without losing it. This one has also got another little gadget in with a hook sharpener and also a thing for clearing fly eyes.
They're very useful, I think, aren't they? Yes,
essential.
a number of times I try to get nylon through and you can't because of the varnish. So,
yes, yeah. Or if you've forgotten to clear the tippet when you put the fly back in your box. So that goes in there.
Great.
Floatant for flies. This is a sort of liquid one which you just squeeze out and melts on your fingers, and you can dress your fly with it.
Very important, yeah. Your forceps,
Forceps, yes.
Do you fish barbless or barbed?
Barb, but the more I fish at the moment, I'm just crushing the barbs using the forceps, and the forceps are obviously extremely useful for unhooking fish. And I prefer matte black ones because they don't flash in the sun so much.
We've got our lovely farm dog now who's having a drink at our feet.
Yes.
Bless him.
And then in his top pocket, 4 spools of different thicknesses of tippet material from sort of £3, £4, £6, and
so you would rarely go lighter than £3, really. That's.
I don't think there's any need to go too much lighter, generally speaking. If you do and you catch a big fish, you've obviously got more chance of being broken, and also in the summer when you've got a lot of weed in the river, it's nice.
It's
to
not
feel.
fair to the fish, is it?
No, I'd far rather have something a bit thicker and know that I can get a fish away from weed rather than lose it in the weed with a fly in its mouth.
And of course, nylon manufacture now is so much in advance of what we knew as kids, isn't it?
Oh, gosh, yes.
It's just brilliant stuff. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, excellent.
So
thank you.
That's in
and
there.
Your lunch is in here, presumably?
Well, no, I'd need something a bit more for lunch.
In there,
paste floatant, which I use for greasing the leader, because particularly when you're nymph fishing, having a well-greased leader does help detect takes.
Takes, definitely.
That's in there, and a couple of different sorts of indicator. This is a fluorescent putty, which I use sometimes.
Interesting. Do you have any problem with using strike indicators from time to time? I know it's not something perhaps skews would have approved of. I mean, I personally don't have any ethical problems with them.
Well, the sort of indicators that I use them solely as an indicator, so you've got something to look at.
Yeah.
I don't believe in using some of these great big foam ones, which are almost the size of floats and work like a float. But as I say, a tiny little pinch of this does give you something to concentrate on. And
of course, if you're grayling fishing in particular, I mean, you can miss 20 takes, can't you, without some sort of...
This strikeout fluffy stuff is quite useful. You can tie a little bit of this onto the end of your leader where you tie on the tippet, and that'll stand up, and particularly if the surface of the river's being ruffled by wind, you might not see the float dough, but something that stands up like that is that much easier to see.
Yes, no, I've never actually used that, so that's a good tip, thank you.
But as I say, I do use it purely as an indicator, not as a means of controlling the depth of the fly or suspending the fly from it.
So it's not a float?
No, absolutely not, no.
I can hear you tic-tacs.
Yes. And then fly boxes, my nymph
the nymph
box.
selection, brilliant. And
that
so we're pretty well set.
lives in there. And I've also got a box of dry flies in here.
Great.
Those are
Wonderful.
CDC ones.
So if a rise occurs, you... Now,
Ready for that.
do I see a priest lurking in the top?
Yes.
Yeah.
I carry a priest because on the river here we do kill a certain number of fish, and also I think if you've got a badly injured fish, I think it's only right to put it out of its misery.
I mean, let's be realistic about that. About this, I mean, surely one of the huge justifications of fishing for a trout is every now and again you can take one home and feed your family and friends with it, and what better way of having a nice dinner?
Yeah. And I think the other thing about stock trout in particular is not many of them do survive a winter, so if you don't kill a number of them, you're probably condemning them to a sort of lingering death.
Exactly. Right, dear boy, I think fishing calls now, definitely, doesn't it?
All right.
Okay.
We'll see what we can catch.